Hey everybody, I'm Mike the Man, and thank you guys for watching me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for sharing my videos. Please do that. Not everybody will take the time to watch my videos. A lot of people they prefer to see people guessing around and get a quick solution, but there are others who are like I was at one point, where I was looking for the right channel to watch. Of course, I found it in Peter Hyatt, and I was very limited to what I allowed myself to watch simply because I'm not interested in chatter. I'm not interested in people guessing, right? I'm not interested in opinions per se, unless they come from people who are actively looking for answers. But opinions are only placeholders that we may, um, use, but not overuse. Meaning, the worst people to be around are those who are stuck on their own theories, if the theories have no evidence attached to them, right? So, flexibility is a must. Flexibility is also what I have, what I need to have. I need to have flexibility at all times, meaning anything that I'm thinking is going to be abandoned the moment that the evidence or the statements lead me somewhere else. So, like I said, it's not for everybody because I think most people actually want to hold on to whatever opinions they have. And oftentimes they will use a case because they want to make it about themselves, about their own lives, and so on and so on. Yeah, this happened to me and my ex-husband. Oh, yeah, narcissist. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. That's not what we do, guys. We are not here to like people or dislike people. Meaning, we have to have an open mind, even though it gets extremely, how can I say, soul scratching to listen to somebody like Janie. And we can allow ourselves to let our perception push us into a direction where we are being forced to examine one person more than the other. So, in the case of Janie, I would like to know what her everyday voice was when she's not talking about Daniel's case. I mean, about Jack and Lily's case. See, I called it Daniel's case. Why did I do that? That's what comes to mind because I think that her number one intention is to protect Daniel. I think that's what it is. More so than, and the second priority is that she doesn't want people to bother her. Or, well, she wants to see her grandchildren too, right? She wants you to feel sorry for her. And like I said before, I think that Belinda, when she was getting, when she talks about Belinda, she doesn't, it's not so much about Belinda, but it's about the fact that Belinda will never be able to see her grandchildren again, which she knows for a fact. So, okay, I'm getting a bunch of messages. Sorry, guys. Okay, good. Listen, now I want to go back into this one particular subject matter of the pipeline. Now, the location of Earl's house may not be as accurate as I thought, but it is towards this direction. And here's the pipeline. I believe that Daniel used the pipeline to travel down. The wind blew away the blanket, possibly here, and it got stuck in a tree. But I think he may have actually lost it at the pipeline, of all places. I believe this is actually possible. What are the odds? Well, that he didn't lose it here or there and it got stuck in the trees there, but I don't know. But the bottom line is, I would say that there's a good chance, well, maybe he drifted this way, maybe he went, but the pipeline is a good way to travel away from people, right? I would say. Not the main road, even though the main road was really not busy at all. There was nobody traveling. He went this way, And then he went up towards north, where he lost Lily's star. And even though my life has just ended, I already got 18 comments that uh, well, this one's, hi Kimberly Whittaker. Nice to have you. Nice to have you here. You said Patty and Malaya probably agreed Malaya and the children would come live with her, and Daniel was mad and told Janie, no more, no more money because Malaya is moving out. If she was a good grandma, she would have fed the children, and she went in to eat. Yeah, yeah, she only gets a bite to eat herself. Everything about Janie doesn't like to share. Janie is not concerned about other people's well-being. She's a, she has a uh, she has a black hole in her heart that no matter what you do for her, it's never enough. So that city council guy, or I don't know, community leader or whatever it is, when she talked about him, oh, now you're coming to see me because I talked about you and named you in you know on on Facebook in my audio. Get out of here. You're too late. Why didn't you worry about me a month ago? That's the type of person she is, man. This guy is, I mean, like I said before, complainers like her, she's not going to have a nervous breakdown. The types of people that have a nervous breakdown, generally speaking, are, in my opinion, the quiet ones, like Malaya, who sits, she shuts herself off. Daniel is chaotic beyond words. She sits there, she uses her phone, and when she had an anxiety attack, a so called anxiety attack, like I said, I don't know exactly what it was, but Janie told us it was an anxiety attack. But I can see that. I can see it that people who are overwhelmed with the situation they're in and don't know what to do anymore, which is, by the way, crazy because she had all the help offered to her that she needed, right? Move in with your grandma. So I don't know if she, what kept her going back to Daniel. I don't know. I don't know. But I think she was very weak, very easy to influence, a candle in the wind. She had no, when we see now, she has no backbone at all. She cannot even stand up for her children. If you cannot stand up for your children, how do you stand up for yourself? She is who she is. And just a broken soul, not making excuses, but there's something very wrong with her. And the moment there's a fundraiser from Lana, all of a sudden, she comes on and she starts to talk because she wants the money. She thinks she can get some cash. That's the only reason she came on. She's very predictable. Of course, when Dali Vision offered her, I don't know, was it $5,000 to come on his show? She knows better. She wants that cash, but she knows that's not going to look good. So, again, I think they were getting cut off of welfare because Daniel couldn't do his tax return. He is too chaotic. We saw his pattern of speaking. He's a chaotic person. That's who he is. So they were desperate. He was desperate. Daniel was desperate. Malaya probably thought, maybe already, I'm really tired of this shit. And now things will get worse? No. I think Malaya considered the possibility of moving out because Malaya likes money. And living with even less money was not an option for her. So I think that Daniel may have asked Patty aggressively for money. Not like threatening, but I mean like, we are desperate. Now I get no more welfare, da 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 da, we need more. And maybe Patty, Malaya's grandmother, said, you know what? I'm sick of this. This is a never ending story. And maybe she told Malaya, no more. I'm not the sucker that you think I am. My home is open to you and the children. You can live with me when things get bad, or you can move in right now. And I do also think that Malaya started to consider it, because I don't think that she was going to be able to take a situation that's even worse. I think she would have gone. And I think Daniel became extremely desperate. And I've talked about it in my last video, that it's no surprise to me that that was when Lily got her black eye. Yeah, the avoidance about Thursday night, you're right. In general, there's so much avoidance here. And remember, I don't have it right now in front of me. If you can, if you have that one statement from Daniel where he talks about something like, there was a guy, a cop named Oliver, or there was a name Oliver on his uniform, uh, and he thanked the guy profusely for allowing him to go back out there to search. Remember that one? If you send it to me, I will crop it and post it, make a post here on my YouTube channel for you guys to read it, or I'll use it as a thumbnail so you guys can take your time and actually read it. Unfortunately, I don't remember exact wording right now, but what stands out about it is the following. Why do you thank somebody so much for allowing you to do something that brought no results? Meaning, it doesn't really matter if the guy let him search or not, because Jack and Lily were not found. So that would not be a very big deal. That the guy said, okay, fine, you can go, you can search. Go ahead, dude. Just shut the hell up. Just stop whining. I think Daniel has an ability to convince people. I think it's a mix of making people feel sorry for him, or being likable, changing his voice, being, his low-level acting skills are being, being used. And he gets and he knows that he has the ability to influence certain people, because it's in my opinion an absolute disaster. And listen to this, I criticize law enforcement when I see the need to. I don't hold back, but I am reluctant to do so when we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But the fact that they went against their own rules and allowed somebody who at least was a person of interest, and according to himself, the suspect, you don't allow that person near a crime scene. And the crime scene, what exactly they were, okay, the crime scene, in my opinion, was the trailer, the bedroom of Jack and Lily's. That room went quiet. But that pipeline also, because that, I believe that, that's where the footprint was found. And maybe he adjusted the bodies when he put them on the ATV that he was driving, or a body slipped off, wrapped in his t-shirt, but who knows how the footprint got there. The bottom line is that Daniel was worried and terrified that there was going to be more evidence found. So he went back to where he was the night before when it was pitch black dark. He wanted to go there during the day and see, maybe I dropped another, maybe a star from Lily's jacket came off or something, right? Maybe something else was dropped. And it's interesting when Janie told us his friends were there waiting for him. I think that a lot of people know what Daniel did. Maybe they didn't ask specific questions. In this rock culture, it's often like, don't really ask any questions, don't be nosy, just help your friends. Hi Julia, I just got your message. Thank you. No, Julia, you don't need to be here. If you're busy, you're busy. Please. That's why I have more moderators now, and I'm happy with that. That I don't nobody has to, you know, do too much. Just keep an eye on things because our chat is the best, aside from Sweetie Pilo's chat, which I also like and feel very comfortable in. The others I cannot even go in. Now, once in a while, Crime and Shame, if they have something specific or Daniel is on, sure. But let's go back to this. Please watch these two videos if you haven't done so about the ATV, something ATV in the title, if you want to know more. So, oh my goodness, goodness gracious. Daniel was allowed to go back to the crime scene. And Daniel was able, I believe, to find something that could have, early on, gotten him into even more trouble. He could have dropped more. There could have been a lot more evidence. What I'm talking about, I don't know, it was raining, right? I'm talking about searching through the mud for anything that you can possibly find that could have um, maybe a shirt button, maybe a button or something like that, anything, right? That could have put him there, that could have placed him there at the pipeline where he was driving along. And these types of people, they don't like police, man. People who share his type of hobbies, they stick together against law enforcement. They don't ask questions. They're just like, hey, one of us is in trouble. We're going to stick up. Durwood, don't even care to go on national TV and lie. I do this for my brother. You know what I mean? Seeing his son. Yep, birds of a feather, baby, birds of a feather. And that is priority over his own family with his relation with Malaya. I mean, I'm not saying he does any rugs or anything. Well, his son is a different story, maybe, allegedly, in my opinion, could be possible speculation, blah, 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 blah. But the bottom line is a lot of these types of people, they backstab their own family, they steal from their own family, and so on. Those people who use rugs like these, especially the mathematicians, they, God, I hate this sneaky language, but what can I do? I knew people like that long time ago. I had a neighbor like that one time. And he stole everything from his grandmother. Everything. He finally got kicked out, thank God. But these types of people get desperate, man. And family is, they take advantage of their family. A lot of them have burnt a lot of bridges, and their family is like, you got to get out of here. We love you, I guess, but that love is not enough to, put me into the position where I'm, suffering because of your choices. And they got each other. It's like the brotherhood of things, right? So for anybody who, you know, thinks that Daniel makes no sense, the way he talks, the way he always, to him it makes perfect sense. He cannot sit still. And it bothers them not to know something. To them, in their own minds, talking a lot means they seem innocent. And that idiot Logan, the same way. Maybe she's a little bit smarter than the others, but not a lot. Opinion of me? You guys have your own opinion. We don't give a shit about you, Janie. We don't give a crap about you whatsoever. The only reason that we focus on you is because you have the answers and you covered up a crime. And that is why you are being paid attention to, and you will be until we find out what happened to Jack and Lily, officially speaking. So don't flatter yourself by thinking you are all of a sudden this celebrity that is being talked about in the National Enquirer or something like that. That's not what we're here for. We are here for what you know and what you did. Anything else about you, your life, your ouchies on your back, or your back, yeah, your back pain, or your stress, or any of that, we don't give a crap about you. Period. I have nothing to say about that. Then don't say anything. When somebody says, I have nothing to say about that, that means they have a lot to say. But for whatever reason, they're choosing not to. Here to tell the truth. I'm just the truth, minimizing. What is the bigger picture? Tells me there is a bigger picture. There is a larger truth that you're not touching because you're only just focused on a certain story that you want to make us believe. I want Lily and Jack found, and that's all I want. Can I clear something up about the four-wheeler? Here we go. Justin and I were the ones driving on the four-wheeler. Yeah, again and again and again. You see, they talk so much about Daniel not driving the four-wheeler. Who cares? Who gives a shit who drove it? If the four-wheeler wasn't used for anything nefarious, then why would you care about the four-wheeler? Why would we care? You would say once, no, Daniel wasn't driving it. Even that is not even important. And if asked again, you would say, well, like I said, and be relaxed about it. Not be argumentative, not try to convince somebody, but she's trying to convince us Daniel never drove the four-wheeler. And maybe, generally speaking, she wouldn't let Daniel drive it. Why? Remember when she says, I won't let Daniel drive my four-wheeler. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's too chaotic. And every time he returns it, there's something wrong with it. But by the way, yes, I'm also looking at the fact that she talks about a wiring problem. So I'm understanding that some ATVs have a GPS system. I'm not saying this one did or didn't, but there's unnecessary information she is giving us. Why did she do that? Was she trying to say, was she trying to limit the, uh, was she trying to convince us that the use of the ATV was even more limited? Or did they try to remove the GPS system if there was one? We need to consider that. We need to let the language guide us there. So anybody who has more information about the model, if they did or didn't, some of you said, this model wouldn't have one. But, I'm not going to make up my mind about these things until I see facts about it, until I see convincing arguments leading me into one direction or the other. So sometimes I need to think about two different possibilities. She was maybe thinking just, that ATV, we don't really drive it because it has problems, except we drive it all the time. Yeah. Or there was something else, right? Okay. But we picked Daniel up
up around the pipeline.
Up around the pipeline. Up around the pipeline. Up. Okay, there we go. Daniel was at the pipeline.
Justin and I went up around the pipeline and we were going through an old road and we seen
An old road. Okay, and we.
Daniel. And Daniel got on the bike. We sat on front of the bike.
Okay, so they went up on the pipeline. They knew Daniel was around there. Out of all the areas Daniel could have gone, he went and stayed focused on the pipeline. If he didn't have a vehicle with him, it means he walked up and down that pipeline. They knew exactly he was going to be around there. He could have been anywhere, right? Anywhere. How do you find him? They went up to the pipeline. And she said up twice because the direction was likely, she said, up here, up here, up here. Let's go up here. They knew where to look for him. Why is Daniel thanking Officer Oliver so damn much for allowing him to do something that got no results? Because it got results for him. Because he found something that he dropped that night. What he is thanking Officer Oliver for is his freedom. From his perspective, if it wasn't for them, for that officer to allow him back out there, he may not have found what he found. And later on, when the RCMP wisely revisited that area to search for evidence, that evidence was gone. That is a huge screw up on the part of the RCMP, of that one officer. There's a reason you don't let the person of interest or the suspect near an area that's part of the crime scene. They have these rules for a reason. But Daniel probably fast talking Daniel. But what if Jack and I want to find? Oh my God! And he probably did the fake crying shit with him. Then maybe the guy said, "Yeah, you're harmless. Go out there." So I don't believe in ignoring people's mistakes, not even my own. And obviously, the RCMP knew where to look, but it was too late. It was too late. They should have gone there much earlier. And mind you, I'm only one person doing this. The language leads me there. They have many people available, many people who specialize in other areas. So I'm confident to say the RCMP screwed up here. Of course, this was Officer Oliver, right? He's the one who screwed up the most. But the others, why did it take them so long to go back to the pipeline? Probably red tape, bureaucracy. What are we? Too many cooks messing up the stew. Too much talk, discussion. Too much opinions. To who knows? I mean, law enforcement. If you think that they're always going to do the right thing or their job, wake up, baby. But we picked up Daniel around the pipeline. Yes, you knew where he was.
Justin and I went up around the pipeline and we were going through an old
Yes, you were up around the pipeline because you knew he was somewhere around the pipeline.
road and we seen Daniel. And Daniel got on the bike. We sat on front of the bike until we get back to the pipeline.
You got back to the pipeline because that's the only area of interest for him. Not the bridge, because there something may have happened. Maybe, one of the bodies slipped off the bike. I don't know. Maybe he had to adjust it. I mean, that's why a footprint could have been there. But I think that something took place when he initially went down there from Earl's place. Let's see it again. The star was found here, Lansdowne Station Road. The pipeline is right here, going all the way down here. He could have taken it all the way down here, a path, and go up north. Earl's house is somewhere around here. And here is the pipeline, and here's a footprint. Okay, it's not a boot print, it's a footprint, right? I mean, I don't have the source in front of me, but it's either a foot or a boot print. It says here boot print, but again, there was some inaccuracies supposedly about this map, but overall, I think I've pointed out which they may be. Here's the pipeline, so maybe the blanket flew off, maybe Daniel stopped, maybe a body fell off, maybe the blanket blew away here, got stuck in the trees. The Earl Martell's house is somewhere around this area, right? So, like Janie would say, I find it very possible when he drove down, and Daniel is a chaotic guy. He's not a planner. He's not an exec. He's not good at executing anything, right? Yeah, he knows the back roads. He knows nature. He knows fishing. He knows the tides. He knows a lot about the things he knows a lot about. But he probably made some mistakes, and maybe one of the bodies slipped off the bike. So that is why maybe he stopped, adjusted things. The wind was blowing. He's chaotic. Maybe he's, high on his hobby, allegedly, possibly. I don't know. I don't know anything, right? Okay. My disclaimer. Maybe he is stressed out, as he always puts it. I'm so stressed out, man. I think he's always been stressed his whole life. Probably by his mommy and her voice. Micromanaging mommy, following you around, and now it sounds like I'm making excuses for him. Please don't mistake but I believe probably he's a stressful person, and a lot has to do with his mother. That he's the type that makes a lot of mistakes. It's very chaotic because she is the type of person who will micromanage you about insignificant shit. She probably never helped him with his homework. Look at his spelling, it's atrocious. She probably never focused on the things that are important in life, but she focuses on stuff like don't overload the trash, worrying about stuff that these guys are paid to pick up your trash, and if it's overloaded, what's the big. And it's not like they're living in an amazing area where you say, oh my god, if you overload, maybe something below your yard, everything is trash, everything is trashy. Look at her trailer, she talks about renovating it. She's a pretender, man. And she talks about how much she was gonna do and work on the swimming pool. And yeah, right. You people don't do shit. Period. You're good at getting free money and talking crap. So I do believe that in early childhood he could have done better had he lived with a better family. I do believe that. And that's where I make a distinction between him and Chris Proudfoot. Chris Proudfoot is the kind of guy, no matter what, no matter how much help, he was just dumb. Daniel could have been more. I do believe that. Growing up there, maybe he had, there's a lot of this rug abuse there, from what I understand, from some of you who live in Nova Scotia, have told me what this area is known for. And these are, of course, the types of people that like to be away from everybody, not be looked at, avoid police, avoid neighbors, and so on and so on. You know what I mean? But regardless, she is telling us exactly. Now, let's listen. By the way, if I haven't done so already, well, I don't need to mention the name, right? It's already here. Adventures Underwater UK, that's the name By the way, if you want to send anybody to my channel, my username on YouTube is at statement analyst. It's one word. So easy to remember, easy to share. That's what I like. It's right here. So I'm looking forward to your channel's future activities. And I appreciate the work you're doing. You also have Logan's statements on there. I may feel the need to revisit some of them. I think that with Logan, she is so blatant. I think actually I gotten a lot more out of her already than I did in terms of Janie's statements, where there's so much more, because she's even dumber than Logan, right? So either way, on front of the bike, twice front, always making sure Daniel wasn't driving. That's her priority here. Daniel wasn't driving. Listen, Plaid's priorities, leakage avoidance, intentions, deception, and sensitivities. Apply it whenever you feel you get stuck. You will immediately get unstuck. Priorities, leakage, avoidance, intentions, deception, and sensitivities. Priorities. What do they tell you first? And what can't they shut up about? Daniel wasn't driving the ATV. Conclusion: he couldn't have used the ATV Thursday night when he actually did. That is why she overdoes it. If they tell you again and again and again, even people who haven't studied statement analysis will get to the point where they say, wait a minute, why is she insisting on telling me this? Well, she's a dumbass. And she has a reason. What is her intention? That's the next one. Her intentions are to give Daniel an alibi, or to remove suspicions, and to mislead people, which goes into the area of deception. She told us her, Durwood, and Daniel were brainstorming that day how to deceive people, how to lead them away from the truth, how to sidetrack them, and she still goes there, even though Daniel said Malaya had nothing to do with it. They still want your mind. They want the seed that they planted to keep growing. And it does in the minds of the types of people that are not likely to watch my channel. So, let's make it crystal clear to combine both Janie and Chris Proudfoot's go-to linguistics. So they went back to the pipeline. That's the only area he was interested in. Likely where maybe a body dropped. There could have been a bunch of stuff. He was terrified that he could have dropped something, and he wanted to get there ASAP before the RCMP finds anything, or the search teams. Well, I detect a lot of uselessness in the search teams. Looking at the team leader, thinking Jack and Lily are still somewhere hiding in the forest voluntarily. Why do they hire people like that? Oh my God. So I have zero faith in these people's investigative skills. But who knows? Maybe there's a brighter light among them that could have said, "Ooh, what is this? Looks like a button. Let's give this to the RCMP." And maybe they would have matched it up with what kind of shirts? What kind of shirts are missing again, Daniel? What can you tell us? Or where did you buy them? Okay, when did you buy it? Okay, at that store. Okay, let's go there. Hmm. hey, do you guys have a. I mean, maybe he got from a secondhand store, maybe he has had the shirts for many years, I don't know, but at least you could have something, and they know how to find out things when they get the top agencies involved. And there's a reason these top that they announced that all the top agencies, including the Truth Verification Unit, great name by the way, very positive touch, not lie detection unit, but Truth Verification Unit. Oops, we cannot verify your truth. That's a very politically correct terminology there, which I think in Canada they love to use it in these official channels to keep themselves from sounding accusatory until they're able to prove something before beyond a reasonable doubt. So we got back to the pipeline. Of course you did. Without a vehicle, Daniel was walking up and down there, and he was busy. He was busy. He was looking through everything. And I believe he found something. I believe that is why he is thanking Officer Oliver so much. Major screw up, letting him go back out there. Also, taking too long to revisit the pipeline area to collect more evidence. One is a huge mistake, the other is, I don't even know if it's a mistake. Maybe it's just how it's very procedural. And that's what I love about being able to do this and not working officially on this case where I would have to go by, you know, go through the red tape and know my place as an analyst, so to speak, get involved as I'm allowed to or asked to, and then step back and leave them a stack of 20 papers, 30 papers, with my complete analysis, even including the insignificant parts. This is why in my last videos I went through everything. I don't listen to it by myself first. I'm doing it with you guys together because many times I am searching for something specific and I ignore some parts that are usually not priority to me. And however, I love it when this can be used as a training tool, and many of you are pointing out something that I went over too quickly. But eventually, I'm getting to the most important parts. And this is the most important part. The second most important is her telling us how it came about that Darren, Daniel, and her concocted this stupid story about Malaya's family taking the children to a reservation. And she told us. And she doesn't know she told us. The poet who didn't know it. Off the bike until, okay, let's keep going.
And we dropped him off with some of his friends. And
dropped him off. Okay. Here he is, guys. Some of his friends. I want to know who these friends were or are. Because, in my opinion, they knew exactly what to look for. Did he give them details? Did they know what happened exactly? Well, again, maybe they didn't ask questions. Maybe to some they put two and two together. Well, they didn't care, I think. I think they're the types of people who don't care. He's our brother. He did something horrible, but, you know, anyhow. So there were a lot of people helping him, and he needed people. He asked them to help, and he told them something maybe. He told them, not everything, but he told them enough. They know enough, and they're quiet. Probably many of them have, the same hobbies, and maybe they have police problems. They just don't want to talk to police. So these are the types of people that don't snitch, to use this type of term. And that's a big network, man. There are a lot of people.
then Justin and I took off back home.
Okay. I think Justin wanted nothing to do with it. Justin wasn't out there helping him look for anything he may have dropped. I think Justin is like, I can't handle this crap. I don't think he has the same hobby. I don't know. But he seems a lot cleaner and a lot more together than the rest of them.
So Daniel was on the bike, sitting on the front of the bike.
So Daniel was on the bike. I believe you. That night he was on the bike on Thursday night. And you see this sentence again. Whenever a sentence makes no sense, stop right before it stops making sense. So Daniel was on the bike. Yes, absolutely. Sitting on the front of the bike. Again, she's trying to completely unnecessary to tell us, but it is highly sensitive. A huge sensitivity. What triggers them and why? And what are they paying too much attention to? So there, the favorite word is so. So Daniel, so there.
It was me, Justin, and Daniel.
How many times is she going to repeat that? Because she's an idiot. She doesn't realize she's trying too hard to convince. But that is her word. That is the way she is. That's her pattern. I bet you when Daniel was filling the trash or whatever, she probably stood there for 2 minutes or and talked about the same shit again and again. You know, the last time, your dad used to do that. And, one time they picked it up and something flew off with the wind. And then I had to pick it. She probably the type of person who over explains the most insignificant bullshit all the time. But when it comes to doing important things, she is MIA. Why don't you try to teach Daniel to learn how to spell? Oh, he's doing better now. He's trying harder. Because I pointed out to him his hit and runs. So now he's trying to become an author. So there was me, Justin. You see, this would be annoying for me to listen to. People like that, when I have, when people like that talk to me, I'm like, ugh, I'm out of here. When they repeat themselves. But of course, here, all the things that are annoying actually can be very useful to let us know what took place.
On the bike,
he was sitting, let me guess, in the front?
On the front of it.
Again.
But Justin and I had the bike out all day.
So he wasn't on the bike. Okay, you told us already that Daniel never drove the bike. So what is your damn point? Again.
I'm fine. I just went through your comments to see if there's any questions you had to ask.
So there is of course some major leakage going on as well. And that's happening when she starts a sentence and then ends it in an unexpected manner. Ends it in a way that it makes absolutely no sense. Again, what we're looking for is when exactly does a sentence stop making sense? Right before we stop ourselves and read it. And then we think about how else could she have ended it? And I appreciate you guys' interest. Have plaids in front of you just in case so you don't get stuck ever. And so your analysis can flow. Because that is the way to ensure that you are on, stay on, and first of all, get on the right track. I'm Mike the Man, and I'll see you soon.